Hey, all my fantasy football friends out there. Welcome to the Multiple First Dynasty Football Show here on YouTube. This is your boy Stash X coming at you with our Week 4 edition, baby. We're bringing it to you every single week, talking about all the starts and sits, talking about the whole Dynasty landscape right here on MFDF. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're recording this on Friday night. You're probably watching this on Saturday. We're going to talk about every single one of the matchups upcoming here today on the show. We're going to give you a little Thursday night hit, and of course, we're going to do our buy highs and our sell lows, as is tradition here. I am joined by my partner, my co-host, my good buddy in fantasy, Greg the Velociraptor. What's going on today, my man?
Hey there! Week 4, starting out with quite a good game last night. Lions, Packers. What did you think of that game?
Yo, I loved it. It was fun to watch. I really thought the Packers were going to come back in the second half. I did. It was fun watching them get beat on at home. I love that. My best friend is a diehard Packers fan, and then second half, like it looked like they were going to turn it around. There was some momentum happening, and I left Monty on the bench. I was sad about that. I was concerned for like an injury re-aggravation. I made a conscious decision to leave him on the bench. Didn't screw up, and it was obviously wrong. But I think that's one of the major storylines coming out of that game is like, what do you even do with this whole Monty Gibbs thing? Gibbs only played like 30% of the snaps. I mean, this is rough for a Gibbs owner who might have taken him in the third or fourth round of a dynasty startup this year. Oh, what are you doing there?
Yeah, it's hard to wait on running backs because they don't last long.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I'm just a little worried. I'm like worried enough that if I could get all my money back, I would.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I'm not gonna really sell at a discount, but like, oh, let's just say the JSN manager is a little bit skittish, and you didn't have to pay a lot to switch over there.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Poke the tires on Bryce Young here,
Addison,
right? Like,
would you consider Addison maybe for a Gibbs swap? I mean, Addison's been in a rocket ship, and Gibbs has only gone down since the season started. I mean, it's probably right around his 1-for-1 value right now, I would say, in Dynasty. Gibbs maybe a little more, but it's close.
maybe not.
Yeah.
No, probably not. But like, yeah, I think it's a little concerning. It's a little bit concerning.
Yeah.
The draft capital usually has a lot of insulation, but their usage here is frustrating. So
It's been tough.
it is what it is.
But you know who else is tough? Is Sam Laporta, your dog, the guy you've been banging the drum for I don't know, like 6 months now. If you're listening to the show, you should have some Sam Laporta shares for as much as we've been talking about him. So congratulations, hats off to you. This kid's been in the real rocket ship. He's like the number 3 or 4 dynasty tight end right now. Look Sam Laporta up in your local trade calculator and be amazed. Because and I think it's justified, man. I still love the guy. I've been poking around trying to buy him for a month now, and not a single owner has budged. Yeah, what's your take on Laporta's explosion?
I mean, he's for real. I think sort of the debate right now is, would you rather have Kyle Pitts or would you rather have Sam Laporta? Right, like that's
easy.
where we're at.
Yeah,
easy
Laporta. I would do it. I would, yes. Please, I will give you Kyle Pitts for Laporta.
Yeah, so to me, that might
Totally,
make him that might make him a sell.
Yeah.
Because
he's so high
just
up.
like a little bit of a sell right there. Yeah, I love him, but
yeah.
At those prices, like, how much can I get on top of Evan Ingram here? A little bit.
You have to like trade out of Laporta into Ingram. Like, what could you get? You could get a first and maybe even more after that.
Right.
Maybe.
So like, have we steamed it? Sam Laporta is my most rostered tight end.
Yeah.
I have a very high exposure, and
well, Greg, there are maniacs like me out there, and if you're considering selling at those prices, I may give you them. So explore that if you're seriously thinking about it.
Yeah. I don't know. So I think that's an interesting question to explore for yourself over the next week. Right, like Sam Laporta's already played. You don't have to think about that over this Sunday weekend. But yeah, I just
he just looks the part, man. I love his long arms, and he's so big, and he's fast, and Jared Goff clearly loves throwing him the ball, and he makes the contested catches, and it's great. It's great. He can jump real high. It's just awesome.
but in the big long run,
Yeah.
am I get like could I get Zay Flowers plus here? You know what I
Probably.
mean? Like
Yeah.
right, like
I mean,
I
look
think
at this.
that's
This is crazy, man. I like if you go on KTC right now, and Laporta's like, where is he at in like total rating? I mean, I look him up in trade calculators. He's like a top 40 player. I'm not messing around. It's insane where he's being ranked.
yeah, I think that's a bit high. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to see if you can get all of that value, right? Like not just some of that value, but if you can get that
He's a tight end 3 in the calculator right
right.
now, and look at
If
his
you
last week is just a freaking parabola going straight up.
if you can get that tight end 3, like if you can get that 3-4 turn startup price for Sam Laporta, like, I don't think he'll ever be so good that you severely regret getting that
No, I
value.
don't think so either. I think there's probably a sell window around those prices, so that's pretty cool. I think Pitts gets drafted a lot lower than that right now. That's why it's a swap I would make. But we get to do a whole hour on Sam Laporta. Let's not do that, and let's just talk about the other side of that game, how the Green Bay Packers fared in their really bad first half, and then good third quarter, and then bad fourth quarter. It was only one quarter of football from the Packers. Jordan Love, number one quarterback in fantasy, considering he's played an extra game right now. But where are you at with Love?
Yeah, I think he's a I'm not sold that his job is secure yet because I'm not sold that he is good yet. I'm open minded. He's been good for fantasy. He's had some unusual touchdown luck. Um, it, he doesn't really pass my eye test,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like when I watch him, there's a little bit of like Wile E. Coyote can keep running as long as he doesn't look down. There's like
Yeah.
a little bit of that to
It's
the
interesting. Yeah.
play when I look at the stats versus what he does with my eye test.
Right.
So, again, this is a guy who I might be looking to move if I'm getting QB 10, 11 prices
I
right
think
now.
yeah,
Which
he's floating around there. He's like quarterback 14, I think, in most like in that space. That's about where I'm at on him. I don't have any shares of this guy. Like I
have a
literally
little.
like 24 leagues. I don't have a single love. I'm in a full just eating popcorn watching mode. I'm not actively pursuing trading for him. Um, if I put him in my own rankings, and yeah, I would have him right around the consensus at the moment, just probably around that 12 to 15 range overall quarterback.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Yeah, I took him to handcuff my Rogers in a spot or two. Back when it was like back years ago. I've had him for years.
So long ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also took him as my quarterback 3 to start up this offseason.
Yeah.
So I've got a few shares. I might consider moving on at these prices. Depends what I could get across to you, right? Like if like how far are we from CJ Stroud?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Also, I mean, you may be able to swap them straight across depending on your league.
Would you give a second to get across to CJ? I like the pedigree
With
so
Love,
much.
I'd probably just hold Love because he's scoring so many freaking points
No,
right
give me
now.
that pedigree. Give me that pedigree. See, that's right there. That's a move I'm making any day. CJ Stroud's going to quarterback in this league for 10 years.
Yeah.
My eye test so easily.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so like that's where I just feel like there's just a little sell window, especially if you can get a guy who maybe is a little bit undervalued. Let's shake that tree. All right, let's move on from Thursday Night Football to buys and sells of the week. Tony, let's do some accountability from last week. Who was your buy high?
Accountability. So my buy high last week was Baker Mayfield, and he has kicked up another spot. He had a pretty rough outing against the Eagles in that primetime game, but was it prime time? Yeah, it was. It was Monday Night Football. But I think it's wheels up for Baker in the long run here. I think there's some good matchups on his schedule. I think this guy could establish himself as the Buccaneers quarterback. Maybe at least going into next season. I'm not going to try to say some multi-year thing, but I like what I've seen from Baker. And yeah, I was right. Is what we're getting at.
And I would add
that
like the tippity top ceiling is like this is an 8-year quarterback. Like oh, this just worked. And like they're going to get the last 8 years of a former 101 pick, right? Like that's a thing that is maybe unlikely, but it's It's something you don't really have with like Desmond Ritter or some of these other quarterbacks down in this deep range, I think.
Yeah. Who was your buy last week, sir?
My buy last week was Michael Pittman.
Ooh.
By high, he's up one more spot from wide receiver 26 to wide receiver 25 after a Minshew start. I think I'm going to just continue buying here. I feel pretty good at this pick. Um, I don't see anywhere for this offense to go but up, especially since they're kind of a little insulated from a quarterback injury,
Yeah.
at least as far as Pittman's production.
I was one of the reasons Pittman faded so hard. I wasn't into him in like redraft season and stuff, but I took your advice and I did buy him in a league, in a league where I'm pretty competitive. I sent my competitive teams first and second round pick. I got Michael Pittman and Matthew Stafford back in the deal. I don't have to start Stafford. He's a QB3 for me, but it just felt like the value was there. I do need everyone needs starting wide receivers, but I feel great about that trade, and thank you for
Yeah,
really getting me into it.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's worth a contending first, and Stafford is well worth a contending second.
Yeah.
Flex. That's great. Who was your sell?
Yeah, my sell last week was Dallas Goddard. He was the tight end 8 at the time, trending down. He's still the tight end 8, but it's tight end, so it moves pretty slow. And Goddard had a lot of insulation. He did drop some value points. No one jumped above him. I'm still selling Goddard. Like what can I give you with Goddard to get into Laporta? Maybe. I mean, at this point, Laporta's gone nuts, so I don't know if I'd actually try that or something. But
But you
like,
could try to go get into Kincaid.
I love the cheaper tight end options in Goddard, man. And his, like, again, I circle back to these calculator values because they represent the market, and I'm not like advocating to use them, but a lot of people do. So as long as you can stay in tune with that, you could find yourself value trades in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Like Goddard is worth a lot because he had a decently high ADP for a tight end entering the season. He still carries most of that value. I don't think his points on the field are going to continue to reflect that. So if I could trade down from Goddard into an Ingram and pick up some future rookies, pick up some running back depth, handcuff one of my guys, I don't know. Then I want to explore that because I'm not. Goddard doesn't pack this ultra ceiling anymore, just in my opinion.
Musgrave and a second.
For Goddard, yeah, I don't know. I might ask for your second and third. That's probably I try to squeeze you a little more. I'm not in love with Musgrave either. I have very few shares of him. That's more what it is.
Kincaid straight across.
That's tough because points on the front end. I would do like Kincaid in the second. I like that. I would probably do that.
All right,
Jeez,
all right,
Musgrave's
all
a
right.
tight end 9 right now. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
The tight end's so terrible. Who was your sell last week, bro?
Damian Pierce.
Yep.
He was the running back 22 last week. He's actually up to running back 21. But I still feel really good about this. Continue selling. Usage was terrible. He's still down from running back 15 before the season started. Usage was still terrible. He's 54% of snaps in a good game script. Production, they were ahead all game, and he still only got 54% of snaps.
Yeah. I'm a little more of a Pierce guy. I mean, the big question I have to ask you is does C.J. Stroud's ascension change your opinion? And not that C.J. Stroud's in the elite territory at all, but like as he trends up, does that not make all rising tide, all boats type deal?
So no, because this is a day 3 guy going into his third year on a team that has accumulated draft capital over time.
Yeah.
So like, I assume that he's going to get supplanted, and they've got like a ton of cap space.
Yeah.
So I assume like he has no job security beyond this year. So I think he's going to be bad this year, and then because I think they can't run block.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then there's a very good chance he loses his job. So I think he's going to be bad this year, and he's a short-term asset.
Yeah.
So like that, I think for me, I just kind of want to not be in that asset. I don't think he's going to be a 4-year starter in Houston. That's my take.
Yeah, I have some good shares of Pierce. I'd probably sell him, but I'm a little more bullish than Greg is. Let's get into our current week buys and sells. So we're buying high, we're selling low. Who's trending upward right now that you want to get a piece of? Who do you need to get out there and then talk to those owners and say, hey man, what do you want for this guy? And for me, it's a young man who's been making a lot of noise, rookie wide receiver for your Denver Broncos, Mr. Marvin Mims from Oklahoma. This guy is sensational. Let me hit you with some knowledge real quick, some numbers. This guy's the wide receiver 36 on Keep Trade Cut right now. He's up from 41 31, where he was at a couple weeks ago. He's going to be higher than that, and he's not going to trade at that 35 mark right now either. But okay, how about this? All right, ready for this. Mims has returned in the NFL 4 kicks, 4 kick returns. He's got 176 total yards and a touchdown on those 4 plays. All right. Mims in the NFL through 3 games has caught 7 passes. He has taken those 7 catches for 195 yards and a touchdown. All right, we put those numbers together, we get 371 yards of total production from Marvin Mims through 3 games. There's only 3 receivers in the NFL with more total offensive yards than Marvin Mims right now. I mean, we're cheesing because we're adding kick return yards into it, but those 3 guys are Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, and Tyreek Hill. So that's Marvin Mims' contemporaries in terms of total yardage at the receiver position through 3 games. You look at all that production, all that that juice he's put on the field. Mims has not played more than 30% of the snaps in any game yet this season. There is absolutely no chance in heck that continues. The ceiling here for Marvin Mims is, in my opinion, a top 12 dynasty wide receiver. He's got the talent, the coach, potentially the quarterback, the ancillary weapons to draw targets away, to draw pressures away from him. Go buy Marvin Mims. Just go poke his owner, send out a flyer. I don't know if I'm ready to send my 24 first straight across for Mims yet, but I'd look real hard at it.
I think he's the truth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing you also didn't mention there is you mentioned how many snaps he's played. Like the routes, the total routes are like 5.
Yeah.
In the game, 7. Like
yeah, like nothing.
So he's got like 5 routes, 2 catches, 113 yards and a touchdown. Like it's real. He looks like he's toying with people out there at times, right? So the player he reminds me of a little bit is Tyreek. So yeah, I'd be poking around Marvin Mims pretty hard right now. Awesome, man. So
yeah, who are you buying, sir?
I am buying high on Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is running back 28. This is up from running back 35 a month ago. I think the Saints have been solid on offense, excellent on defense. They look good as a team. But at the same time, Jamal Williams has looked terrible, and Kendre Miller can't get healthy, and Tony Jones is playing snaps. And Alvin Kamara is coming in here after 3 weeks. But unlike other guys, he's not coming in here banged up, coming back off injury. He's coming in here fresh, right? And so to me, like, this is the reinforcements you want to go buy for the second half of the season. And he's up just a bit, but the situation is setting up really nicely. They're not setting up to tank. They're setting up to be competitive in the division. Like that's going to be good for him. They still have a soft schedule. That's going to be good for him. So if you have sort of been waiting to fill out your running back roster, I think now is a good time to snap up Alvin Kamara. I think he's going to cost more in a month.
I love that note on the fresh legs. I think that's a big takeaway, and it's lost a little bit, especially because this veteran, he probably needs that rest, and I love it. Kamara is definitely a buy. It's I think it's tough to find him on a team willing to sell him is going to be your challenge there, but
maybe they started bad, right? Like maybe they were trying to slip through. But like, oops, maybe I'm a seller and I thought I was a contender, right? Like maybe now is the time to poke at that.
Yeah, if I'm 0-3 or just my total points on the season right now is pretty low and I'm not feeling great, I sat on Kamara. Maybe I'm just 4th year into this dynasty league and I've had Kamara forever. I might be willing, it's time to start the rebuild. I might be willing to let Kamara go.
Maybe get him for a second. I think you'll be happy if you can get him for a second. Right?
A contending team, I'd be pretty proud to send my second for Kamara. I'd probably even do a 2-3 maybe.
Right.
Yeah, just to go get him.
I think he's going to do big things for you. Yeah. All right. So who are you selling? Low on?
We're selling low. So players that have been trending downward that we are selling on. So there's a lot of different choices right now. I thought about doing the entire Bears offense. That seemed cheesy. So I'm going to pick a single player. I'm going to choose Bryce Young as my sell low right now. So Bryce Young's down to a quarterback 12 on keep trade cut, down from 10. I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I'm not selling Bryce Young for anything at all. That's not the case here. But he's the number 46 overall player on that ranking website. So he's a top 50 player in Dynasty Superflex. That's what they're telling me. So if I can trade Bryce Young and get that much value in a deal, a top 50 players worth of value,
Mm-hmm.
with maybe some sort of quarterback tax baked into that trade, I'm doing it. Being it to move up at quarterback, I'm sending Young and my first to go get Lawrence, or Lawrence hasn't been that great, or something like that. Young and two first to go get Herbert. I don't know. I could be trading down, like I'll sell Young to get Baker and some stuff. I could be trading into a different position. I will give you Bryce Young straight across for I don't even know who's a skill position guy. Nah, probably not Ayuk, but you get the idea here.
Jordan Addison.
Yeah, if I could sell Bryce Young straight across for Addison, I'd probably do that right now because I want those points, and most importantly, if I'm a
So
contender.
okay,
Yeah,
so now
yeah.
let's
Go
see.
ahead.
You took Bryce Young with a 104, 105.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Addison was going 107, 108. You're ready to trade him straight across there?
I think I would for the most part. Especially it's very very unique with this situation. This is a unique
Mhm.
pick I made because I don't. If you're tanking, you're not going to do these things I'm talking about. I don't think Young's going to zero. Okay, I'm not trying to make that case. He could play
Mhm.
in the NFL for a while, but Andy Dalton coming in and looking great is a bad look for Young. The ceiling on this player is low. I mean, this is not like some hyper athletic cannon arm guy who, if it just gets right, he could be a top three quarterback. That's never going to happen for Bryce Young. This guy to me looks like Baker Mayfield, a high end quarterback too in the right matchup. And if I could get rid of him as a top 50 player before his value settles in around a top 100 player for the what will most likely be his career, I'm willing to let him go for that.
Would you go straight across to Jordan Love?
Absolutely, I would 100% trade Bryce Young for Jordan Love.
Would you go straight across to Brock Purdy?
you,
Would you go
I would ask
straight
for a draft
across?
pick, but I would consider that. Yeah, I would
Would you
probably
go
do
straight
Purdy in a
across to
second.
Kyler Murray
No, I don't
if
like
you were
Kyler.
tanking?
I don't like Kyler. I don't like
Okay.
rostering him. It's personal.
Okay.
Maybe though. I mean, I could see someone wanting to do that. If I'm competitive and I believe, if you're someone who believes in Kyler, yeah, that'd be a fair trade, a fair swap.
Boy, I think Kyler. I don't want to add a bunch of Kyler right now.
He's
All
down,
right.
man. If you want to, now's the time to go do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who you selling?
No, I kind of see what you're saying, right? Like, at overall, looking at overall value players who are competitive with Bryce Young, um, it, I can see the wisdom in moving on from him. Um,
I just see him slipping out of this top 12 into like that 15, 16 territory and never, ever going back up into it ever again. He'll never be a top 10 quarterback in Dynasty ever, ever again. Like, this is it. So just get what you can.
okay, okay.
Not that he's going to zero. He's just going to live in that like 15 to 20 range, I think, for like, 12 to 18 range.
Mac Jones in a first.
Easy. I'll take it. Give me your
Th-
picks.
Make that offer.
Okay, yeah, I would do that. I would take Mac in the pick. I want the reroll and the upside that comes with the reroll because Mac and Bryce seem like the same upside to me. It's like this. It's like I'm almost getting a pick for free.
Mac in 2 seconds.
Eh,
Yeah. All right. All right. So,
I
all
don't
right.
know. It's close. All right,
Marcelo is also a young quarterback, and
QBs.
I'm going with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett was quarterback 17 in the preseason. He's down to quarterback 21. But more importantly to me, he was player 60, right? So 5-6 turn in the preseason. He's down to 96th overall, um, which is 8-9 turn, and I think there's every reason to be concerned, maybe not about his job security, but like that he's never going to be good, and uh, he's never going to be that useful for you. And then a year from now, in the third year of his deal, we're all going to know they're not going to pick up the fifth year option, and he won't have any dynasty value left. You know what I mean? So he's currently the quarterback 21. To me, I'm looking at Mac Jones, who's the quarterback 23, or Sam Howell, who's like 26, and like maybe you get a plus on top of Sam Howell, or um,
I wouldn't trade for Howell. I'm scared of Howell. But yeah.
or maybe like a I mean, Howl in a second. I don't know what you can get. Howl in a 2-3 swap.
Yeah.
Um, or like maybe don't have to pay much to go up to Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, or maybe Justin Fields. Managers panicking a lot. Like I'm not in love with Justin Fields here, but like he's down to like quarterback 18. I think you can start taking shots there, right? Like heck, Justin Fields could win you this year. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, we were joking before the show started. Like, doesn't this feel like Fields last year? Like, it's kind of the same. It was rough early, and he sucked, and then they got hot, and all of a sudden he was great, and it's just,
yeah, like
it's
I just think
eerie.
I think Kenny Pickett has been given a lot of weapons,
Yeah,
and he looks like he wishes he was Brock Purdy.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I think of Kenny Pickett.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm a little more bullish on Pickett just because I like Steelers players more. If he was in a different jersey, I'd be right there with you. But you know, I have a few good shares of Pickett. I would definitely let him go for around the prices you're talking about. But I'm happy. I'm not aggressively shopping him.
I would aggressively offer the Mac Jones manager a swap everywhere I had him.
Just a straight up swap, Pickett for Jones.
Yeah, Jones is 2 slots behind him in the order,
Yeah,
so that guy might think I'm getting an upgrade.
that's interesting. Yeah, I think you'd hit on that more, a few times.
I think Mac Jones, like, let's remember that he was a Pro Bowler as a rookie, and then as a second-year player, he had a defensive coordinator as an
Yeah,
coordinator,
yeah,
and now he looks good again.
yes.
I think he was almost my buy high here. But so like to me, that's a straight across you should aggressively offer everywhere.
All right, I love it. All right, that's buying and selling, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for that. We're going to get into our weekly matchups now. We're going to break down every single matchup, talk about the fantasy relevant players, all the games coming at you in the upcoming week for Sunday and Monday night. Let's hit this first one right here. First game on the list, we got the Atlanta Falcons playing in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a 9:30 a.m. East Coast kickoff. So set your alarm clocks, ladies and gentlemen. Every single one of these games this week has excellent weather, except for this London game, which has a 25% chance of rain. In this game, we're going to start with the Jaguars. I'm going to be starting Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk as a wide receiver 2, and Evan Ingram, I think, is a must start at tight end right now. Kirk is a confident start for me. He's had 20 targets
Mm-hmm.
and 80% of the snaps for the last 2 weeks. I think those week 1 fears are gone. Zay Jones is out ski. Don't worry about that. And I don't
All
think
right.
Tank Bigsby can be started. Sorry, I'm breezing through it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think those week 1 fears are entirely
Yeah,
there when Zay Jones comes back.
you think so? Okay.
I, when Zay Jones comes back, I'm going to cross my fingers, and if it goes bad, I'm going to immediately be like, "That's 2 for 2 with Zay Jones there."
Hmm.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's room. Anyway, that to me remains scary.
You think Jones is a better player than Kirk?
I think Jones was playing ahead of Kirk before he got hurt.
There you go. Okay, that's a good way to put it. And then you can't start Tank Bigsby. I mean, that's Jacksonville for you. Are we making anything out of Calvin Ridley's struggles lately?
Um, I think I don't have a lot of Ridley.
Yeah, neither do I.
I think he might smash his old team this week.
Ooh, I didn't think about the revenge game narrative.
Like that might be it.
Yeah.
Hey, he's had a lot. Like this might be this. Forget revenge game. This might be a catharsis game.
Yeah, he's getting right with the Lord. Yeah.
Right.
Atlanta side of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Atlanta side's a little murkier. For me, I'm starting Bijan easy, and then I'm starting Kyle Pitts. Jacksonville's a bottom 10 defense against the fantasy quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. So London should be playable. He's a wide receiver 2, 3 type. You should be able to play London this week. Ritter should also be a super flex starter. He's a mid-range quarterback 2, maybe low end. And I'm not starting Algier against the high-end Jacksonville rush defense. And I think I got the over on this 43.5 spread personally.
Yeah, I only feel good starting Bijan,
Hmm.
and I really don't want to play Ritter. I might play London if I felt like I had to. Like I benched London for Tank Dell this week. I don't feel good about anything on Atlanta except Bijan always. You can play Pitts, you can play London. But it doesn't feel good to me.
I think Pitts is one of the better weeks to start Pitts personally. I mean Ritter, yeah, low end QB2. I mean you can throw him out there because it makes sense matchup wise. That's all. I'm not advocating for his talent right now. I mean the matchup makes sense to put him out there. I am personally never excited about playing dudes in Europe games ever.
Yeah,
Like
no, I think that's a great point.
anyone, I don't care who it is. I'm not excited about playing Mahomes in Europe. It's rough.
Sometimes the games are ugly, and also playing so early, I think, can put you at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so moving on.
Yeah. We got the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills here. We got a 53.5 point spread. This is the big one for the week, baby. Let's start with Buffalo. I'm starting Josh Allen, James Cook, and Stephon Diggs.
This is the smorgasbord.
This is the one, man. This is the one where we're all eating. Is in this game.
The smorgasbord everybody eats. Okay. I'm starting Gabe Davis. Most places I have him.
Same.
I think gosh, man, nobody has ever represented the phrase post-hype sleeper more than Gabe Davis having a solid season this year.
I never left you, Gabe. I want you to know that, man. I was in the whole time.
He's never going to hit the hype ceilings, but in the leagues we play at, when you're at least two, I mean, when you're at two wide receivers and two flexes, maybe
it's
a little
play him.
Yeah. But three wide receivers and two flexes, all of a sudden,
so easy
he's
to play
a pretty easy play. And you feel pretty good about it. Yeah.
There you go. Tight ends, I don't think either tight end is startable until further notice. They are like dead even 50-50 on snaps and targets. I hate that. I hate it. My beautiful Dalton Kincaid has been buried. Just don't play either of these guys until further notice.
Yep. And I just want to throw out here on Buffalo, I have some zero RB builds where my running back 2 has not come around. And I've got these beautiful wide receivers in my flex spots, but I don't have a running back 2. I think you can play Latavius Murray.
Yeah, in that type of build you can, I think. I agree.
He's been on the field on a lot of red zone plays. He's scored a couple of touchdowns, and he's getting some targets. I think that's a critical thing.
All right, Miami side. Yep. We're starting Tua. We're talking about the dynasty, the quarterback 8 in dynasty right now, Tua Tagovailoa. We're starting Raheem Mostert. We're starting Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The big discussion is Devon Achane. I have good exposure to Achane, and I'm starting him everywhere. I'm just gonna ride. If someone puts up 55 points, you just stand right in that fire, and if you get burned, you just go down with it, man. That's the way I choose to play. So I'm starting. I don't care about the matchup, the depth chart, Salvon Ahmad's health. I don't care about any of it. The over under, I love it. I'm gonna put him out there.
No, yeah, you definitely play Achane. I have very little exposure to him, but you keep playing him for sure. I also think in your deeper tight end premium leagues with this over under, flexing Durham Smythe is totally viable. He's playing a lot of snaps, running a lot of routes, and they're running at a fast pace. If it's a shootout, he could easily be like 6 for 45, and you had a great game in a tight end premium.
Durham Smythe is this year's tight end guy that came out of nowhere in Dynasty. I mean, we saw it with Waller 4 years ago. It was Robert Tonyan the year after that. It was Juwan Johnson last year. It happens every year to like one guy. This year it's Durham Smythe. So if he's still on your wire, just go grab him.
Hey, quick aside here. Are you cashing in on Tua with the head injury concerns, or you just like washing your hands of that?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today on my drive to work. I was like, I should have been in on Tua. That was the only reason I wasn't in, was because of these like weird, his career could be over if he takes the wrong hit type things. And
but that's still there.
Yeah, it is still there. But like I never really bought it then. I have no Tua shares. I'm not trying to make the case for him, but like I didn't really buy that. It always sounded silly to me, but I still wouldn't buy Tua. Maybe it's because he's left-handed. I don't know. No, I'm not buying that stuff, and I think every single player is under the same exact risk of career-ending injury on any play. I don't think there's players that are more exposed to that than others. I don't buy that personally.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's okay if you do.
Yeah, I don't know how much we know, but I do know that he's said he thought about it this offseason.
Retiring?
Right, which is right. So like I do feel like even if he's not at higher risk of a bad concussion, I think a bad concussion would give him more second thoughts about continuing to play than most players. I think we almost know that.
Yeah.
So like Um, you know, like Joe Burrow's not playing real well. What do I have to do to make that move? Any of that to me seems like something worth thinking about right
Oh, to
now.
trade from Tua into Burrow.
Yeah.
That's interesting because Burrow is he's lagging in that
Right.
S tiers, and like so. All I've been thinking about is how to get off of Burrow. I've been trying to like pivot from Burrow like into Herbert. I sent out Burrow for Anthony Richardson and a 24 first and like another player to a couple teams to sell my Burrow shares. Um, I'm
Well,
scared
like
about this whole season worth of rough for
it could
Cincy, but
be, but like
getting too far
or try
afield.
to get into
Yeah,
Allen, try to get into one of these
Herbert,
guys. It's great. Like,
Herbert. Yeah,
what do you have to do to go across from Tua to Herbert? Would
interesting.
you even get something? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I think that's worth people's consideration. Moving on, the Minnesota Vikings are at the Carolina Panthers. The game features a 45 and a half over under. That's kind of in the middle for the week, or maybe a mid high. Um, Carolina, we're starting Miles Sanders as a running back 2 flex. We're starting Adam Thielen as a wide receiver 2-3. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's he's getting targets. He's been productive. I'm starting Thielen as a wide receiver 3. You're talking about what? Isn't he like he's the whatchamacallit? He's the wide receiver 11 on the season right now.
Yeah. So
Minnesota's
we
got like
got
the worst pass defense in the league.
yeah. So we got Bryce Young.
Standing fire, baby.
He is practicing full.
Yeah,
In a 2 quarterback league, I think you can play him.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm kind of trying not to play him if I don't have to. Jonathan Mingo has been playing a lot of snaps. DJ Chark had a big game last week. What are your thoughts on those guys?
Jonathan Mingo is one of 7 wide receivers in the NFL this season to play on like 80% or more of his team's snaps. It's like 90%. I forget. It's some weird stat I was reading.
Mm.
But all the rest of the guys are the A-listers: Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams, and then Mingo's got this ridiculous snap share among receivers. So I like that. I wouldn't start him yet. He's a stash, but he's interesting. And then DJ Shark, he's out. I liked him in DFS lineups, but he's out. So sad.
Oh, is he out for the week now?
Is he out? Maybe I'm getting confused with Zay. I thought Shark was missing. Is it? Oh,
I
he's
thought.
healthy. He's removed from the injury report. Oh, okay. So what do? Do you play Shark?
Um, I'm kind of firing up some Shark. I
Yeah.
think um, he's a decent bet to um, put up a big play somewhere. Maybe it gets in the end zone, but even if it doesn't, even if you get like a 40-yard catch and a couple of catches, you could have a half decent day. Like I think, if it's 3 for 60, I actually think Minnesota gives up a lot of yards. He's a big play guy.
Shark
They give
or
up
Gabe
big
Davis?
plays. Oh, Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, but
But
the
yeah,
matchup's there for sure. Sorry, I
yeah.
cut you off.
So I'm pretty in on that. Obviously, on the Minnesota side, obvious guys are obvious: Cousins, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Madison. This is second highest over of the day. Carolina is terrible against fantasy running backs. So, what do you think? How do you feel about this backfield, man?
I like Madison. I would play him. He had the big game last week. This defense is exploitable. I mean, has there been some news that I'm not aware of where they said Madison's not gonna get as much work because he had his best game of the season last week?
I see. I watched enough. I thought he looked terrible. I thought he
Yeah,
looked absolutely horrible.
he's never looked good to me in his whole career is the thing. It's always been a volume play, and he got a ton of volume. It's a great matchup. I mean, if you have him on your team, he's an RB2 type this week. I think. I mean, like I said, is there any news that I'm missing? I don't think so. They say
I
Akers is going
think
to be more
he's.
involved
Uh,
or
they
involved at
didn't.
all.
They didn't say any. I mean, trending toward playing is what we're hearing. But like, I don't know, man. I just think Cam Akers is a better player.
I think he is, but I
And
think Madison's a volume dependent matchup play, and that's all there right now for him.
I don't. It would. Okay, so
Yeah.
Akers played in this system when O'Connell was in LA with O'Connell.
Mhm.
So it would not shock me if like Madison missed a cutback or missed a pass block.
Yeah.
And came off the field and didn't come back for a long time.
It,
Like that
totally
kind of
fumbles, drops a
that kind of
pass, and he's
feels
just
really
not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So like for me, I am like you might have to, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, it's he would be around RB 20 for me in that range. So if I could sit him, I would, but
Probably more like
it's
RB 30 for me.
okay.
I'm concerned about him. All right.
Yeah.
Um.
Denver and Chicago, baby. Why don't you take it away?
Oh gosh, the stoppable force versus the movable object.
Yeah.
Um. Start everyone. Start no one. Have a beer. I don't know. Um. Something stiffer, a full Boilermaker. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bears, like, but look, start Fields, start Herbert, start Roshan, start DJ Moore against a bottom two defense. Broncos, start Russ, start Sutton, start Judy, start Javante against a bottom two defense. There you go. Yeah, sell windows on everybody who has a big day.
Yeah. Are you willing to fire up Mims as a wide receiver 3 or 4 type?
No, you
No,
cannot play
not
him.
yet.
Listen, you can't play 5-7 routes a game.
Yeah.
5-7 routes a game. Like, yeah, I know it's amazing,
Hmm.
but like it's so easy for him to go to 0 routes a game
That's fair,
or
man.
to
Yeah.
have no targets on 7 routes. Like he's not running routes and not anyway. No, you just can't. It's not just the targets that are low. It's the snaps are too low.
So the only Bears pass catcher we're starting is Moore. We're starting Herbert. We're starting Roshan, and then so we're not starting Cole Kmet right now. We like a lot of other dart tight ends better.
I think that's
Fair to
where
say.
I'm
I
at.
agree as well. Yeah, and then the Broncos side. Sorry, I just want to recap it. We're starting Russ. Is Russ a QB1 right now? He's probably a QB2. In this matchup, he might be a low end one
He's a
potentially.
low end one in this
Yeah,
matchup.
and then Sutton, Judy, Javante, and nobody else. There you go.
I'm starting Fields big time here
Oh
too.
yeah, definitely.
Like this, like Justin Fields is playing for his job. It would not surprise me if Justin Fields was like fantasy quarterback 1 with 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns this week.
Yo, he might say F the game plan and just start running around.
Yes, and like the Broncos gave up 350 rushing yards last week. But after making Brian Robinson look like a superstar, right? Like, I think you have to fire up both of these Bears running backs and see what you got. And like they're going to give up a big play to DJ Moore. The Bears can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Russ is going to.
I'm actually kind of excited for this game for fantasy personally because I think it's going to be high scoring and we're going to enjoy the players that are in it.
So ugly.
Yeah. But it's going to be ugly, but like a lot of points. So. Moving on to our other AFC matchup here, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. There we go. Cleveland side, starting Watson as a QB2. This goofy injury that just popped up a few hours ago is really concerning, but I think Watson's still a QB2 here. I say starting him. I don't own a single share. You start Jerome Ford. You start Amari Cooper. Not starting any other Browns right now. Kareem Hunt's supposed to be involved this week. I want to wait and see how his role goes out. Elijah Moore has had 9 targets in each of the last 2 weeks. I think he's a decent wide receiver 3 shot, but I'm personally not going to be firing him up in my ownership just because of his fumble last week, and I just not. I want to be wrong first. I don't know. I don't think Njoku's a playable tight end this week. Ravens are maybe the best team in the league against the tight end. They're number 2 right now. And Njoku's not seeing a high volume of targets even in good matchups. The only other note here that I have for you is a player I've been really liking this offseason. He hasn't done anything yet. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 6th round pick that came out of Michigan, is playing almost 90% of the snaps for this team, and he hasn't done anything yet. But I think it's interesting, especially if Moore were to regress for whatever reason. This could be interesting. I like stashing DPJ right now.
Yeah, I think those are some good calls. On the Baltimore side, we obviously start Lamar, we start Andrews, we start Flowers. Hey, listen, it hasn't been great all the time for Lamar or Andrews, but I think we're just going to keep rolling with it like that. And let's see. What else do you feel about the Baltimore backfield?
Don't start any of their running backs. They're all bad. You're starting.
I'm easily starting Justice Hill if he's playing. I think he is like Lamar is going to mean that they can always run the football a little bit.
Yeah.
And and if Justice Hill, then I think, and I have Gus Edwards, I feel good about that. I got to tell you, I think that's not that not that challenging of a play for me. I like running back 2 on these hero running back builds.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've got some of these rebuilds that are contending now, and it's like Bijan and nobody in the backfield,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
Like
yeah, those guys could
I don't
slide into
feel bad
those.
at
Yeah, yeah,
all playing Justice Hill here.
yeah.
Feel like, ooh, I found one. And let me say one other guy. Hey, if you are desperate for a start, if Bateman and Beckham both miss the game, you can play Nelson Aguilar.
Oh yeah, you might be able to play him even if they don't. But yes, he's interesting.
And he's the kind of guy who's there even in a lot of dynasty formats where the waiver wires are like Dust Bowl graveyards. So that's why I bring his name up.
Yeah, it's the only thing on the running backs. Edwards and Hill are both kind of like dynasty waiver wire guys for the most part. I mean, they're low round picks. If I have competent running backs, I'm not playing. I'm not trying to force either of these guys into my lineup for sure. I mean, I think Greg's a little more bullish than I am. The Browns defense is so good. One of them, Hill specifically, should catch a few passes and maybe be relevant, but I'm not. I don't see a lot of upside here for the Ravens backfield personally.
All right.
Steelers at the Texans, another AFC matchup. We got on the Houston side, we're starting C.J. Stroud in 2 quarterback leagues. We're starting Tank Dell as is Tank Dell a must start in 2 wide receiver full PPR formats? He's right on that line.
Two
He's
wide
so close.
receiver, two
Yeah.
wide receiver and a flex, probably getting
Yeah.
close. Yeah, I think he's getting close.
I think you start Nico as a wide receiver
Yep,
2
for
type,
sure.
and I think you run out Damian Pierce right now. I'm
Yep.
not stoked on that, but maybe you can
Nope.
change my mind. And then
You
then we
can
got
play
Robert
Robert
Woods.
Woods.
Yep.
It's like, look, Robert Woods is not super fun, but again, like if you've got 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, and you're like, and Robert Woods as flex 2, it's a full PPR.
Yeah.
You feel like you're holding up the tent over there. Like it's not collapsing in that end of your lineup. So I'm with it. Sit the Houston tight ends. Very disappointing season for Dalton Schultz.
Yeah. And Tegan Quatoriano, who I really enjoyed stashing, who's done nothing.
Yeah. Steelers.
Yeah.
We're starting Pickens. Gosh, how do you feel about starting either running back here?
I'm starting Najee as I have to. It's a plus matchup. I think he should do something.
Yeah.
Warren, I have in a couple RB. Warren's a guy who's he's filling in some of my 0 RB types. I really like him in that mold.
I like that too.
I'm hoping this is a get right game for Najee. I really am, but yeah. It's not looking good.
How do you feel about Kenny Pickett?
Like I said, I'm a little more bullish on him than you are. Right now, this week, I am not starting him anywhere. I'd be willing to. I'm not pushing him out of my lineup. Who's a comp for that? Like Pickett or Bryce Young right now? Who would I start this week?
I'd play Bryce Young.
Yeah,
I'd
play Young in that matchup too.
How about Jameis if he plays against Tampa in a revenge game?
I think I'd play Pickett.
I think I'd play Jameis.
I'd probably play Jameis. I would play Winston. Put it on the record.
Right. So there you go.
All
so
right.
I feel pretty bad. Pickett or Mac Jones.
Who's the Steelers playing? Or the Steelers, the Patriots?
Cowboys.
Oh, Pickett then for sure.
I'm still playing Mac Jones.
I play Pickett. All right. Moving on.
And I kind of like Calvin Austin.
There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he's on the field a lot now. Until Deontay Johnson comes back, I think you can play Calvin Austin, and he has some home run in him. So, Rams at Colts, 46.5 over under. Indianapolis, who we starting?
I'm starting Anthony Richardson as a quality quarterback 1 option. I really like Richardson and what he's been doing when he's been on the field.
Did you know he has a career average of 1.5 rushing touchdowns per game?
I love it. It's beautiful. Hopefully that stays that way forever. Michael Pittman's a must start right now, I think, with the target volume he's getting. Kylan Granson is a deep dart that I'd be okay with. Kylan Granson or David Njoku, who do you like this week?
Granson.
Yeah, I would play Granson over Njoku. That matchup sucks for him. Josh Downs Moss is interesting. Oh, Moss. Sorry. Yeah, talk about him. Go ahead.
I think, man, until anything changes, Zach Moss. By the way, let me throw one other thing out here. Trey Sermon is a guy who I would add like if you've got free open ads and somebody goes on IR, like he was running number 2 behind Moss. Injuries happen. Taylor could be back next week. Taylor could never play in Indy again. You know what I mean? And injury away running backs are hard to find. So um, if you get one of those free late roster spots, poke at Trey Sermon.
Yeah, this is what, the third or fourth team for Sermon. Yeah, I added him as a waiver ad. I really like Sermon as like what we do on the show here. Like, as you can put like a Saturday night claim for the Sunday games. Sermon, because you can move like a Zay Jones who just got IR'd. You can move him down. I got a roster spot. Put $1 on Trey Sermon. Yeah.
Put a 0.
In leagues where I'm at like 1,000 fab, where the fab's like ridiculous, I try to put $1. If it's 100 fab league, I'll probably do 0. 250 fab league, I'll put $1. I like putting $1 because then it doesn't go to priority. You get it over all the other guys who do 0, but only in the like the 250 plus fabs. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But anyway, just keep an eye if you get one of those roster spots. Keep an eye for him there. And then, Josh Downs in a full PPR. Ram side, Stafford, yes. Puka, Kyron, Tutu, all with confidence.
Tutu always scares me. I don't know if I'll ever put him out there with confidence. Those other 4 guys, yes.
I think you can. I think until Cooper Kupp is back, you can start Tutu Atwell.
Look at this. I wanted to show you. Put Tutu Atwell into this lineup. You can see my screen, right?
I'll have to.
Madison, Javonte. I got Chris Olave, DK. It's in the MFDF league. Like, how do I get Tutu in here? I want to play him. I would have to sit Madison, sit Javonte Williams, like sit Metcalf.
I'm
trying to play him.
Look back at the scoring, but I might sit Madison here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make the most sense. But you're my opponent in this league, so I'm not going to do it. I was just curious what your input was.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Ward. Well, I mean, wait, in the MFDF League of Record?
Yeah, League of Record. Yeah.
Peoples-Jones.
He's not in my starting lineup.
Then I'm not your opponent there.
No, we're not playing against each other. No, you're not my. I mean, you're my league opponent. You're a rival manager.
I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're Debo. In MFDF League of Record, you have Debo Samuel, right?
Yeah, I would.
He's not going to play.
Questionable to play.
He's not going to play.
3 hours ago. You don't think he's going to play?
He hasn't. He didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He's not going to play.
That makes sense. I wasn't following that closely.
Like,
there you go.
He's a one. To me, he's like a 1 in 5 to play.
All right, there you go. Tutu's in there then. Let's go, baby.
Right. That's where. There you go. Right.
Mm-hmm. Kyron confidence, Puka confidence, Stafford confidence, the tight end Higbee.
If you absolutely must, there is volume, and the over under is good.
Higbee or Granson?
I'll take Granson. Scoring system and a full PPR with a tight end premium. I think Higbee's going to volume. More volume. Let me. Is it time to sell Puka?
Yo, I've been seeing him go for a 24 first plus.
Is it time to sell all your Puka right now?
That's like when.
Sell all your Puka right now. Before you're looking back and going, I wish I'd sold all my Puka.
I think if my team's not good, I'd sell him. Yeah, if I'm competitive, I want those points. I want all the points I can get if I'm competitive.
If you're competitive, like, couldn't you get if you're thinking I'm competitive, couldn't you go get Devontae Adams for Puka from rebuild? You know what I mean? Like,
I guess if you could do that, I wasn't thinking
right.
Like that,
you know what I'm saying? Like, he's trading so high. I think Puka might be a real sell high right now.
Could I sell Puka for Laporta? I'd probably do that.
Yeah, I mean, you might not have to give much with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
I'm not selling Puka yet, personally. I got some shares. Okay. I'm holding them.
Okay. So, what else are we looking at here? Buccaneers, Saints, over under 40.5. Yucky game. Awful. Derek Carr, not sure if he's going to play or not. Not sure if it's Winston or not. If it's Winston, it's a revenge game. What do you do?
What do you do here with the Raiders and Chargers? When you start Devontae Adams, you start Josh Jacobs, you start Jacoby Myers. Adams and Myers have like 70% target share between the two of them on this team. It's ridiculous. Jimmy's a low-end QB2. Not playing any other Raiders players. Am I in the wrong game? No. Yeah, I am. My
Yeah,
bad.
you
I'm sorry,
are.
dude. I jumped on the head of the thing. So you're talking about the Saints. My
Your
bad. My bad. My
Saints.
bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got really weird. So what are you doing? I think Jameis plays, right? Is Carr actually maybe gonna play? I didn't think he was.
Carr showed up at practice and took some of the snaps.
Oh, okay. I You have to track that. Jameis, whoever starts is playable as a QB2. You just have to keep an eye on it. Um, I don't. It doesn't really affect my feelings on the players in the game very much at all. I see them very similarly.
Okay. And so we're starting Evans. We're starting White. How do you
Hmm.
feel about Godwin or Baker in a on the Buck side in a matchup like this?
Would try to sit Baker if I could.
You would try to sit Baker if you could. How do you
Yeah.
feel about Godwin in a low over under? Hasn't been getting huge volumes.
If you can sit Godwin, you probably should. Godwin's the kind of guy who you kind of have to like. You kind of have to sit him until you're wrong at this point. I feel like he hasn't really done anything. Like
No, he really hasn't. I
no,
mean, I
he's
think
wide receiver 49. This matchup's bad. Baker's gonna have a rough go of it. Not excited to start Godwin, and maybe against Detroit in 2 weeks or Tennessee in Week 10, you might have something. But I think it's rough for Godwin right now.
okay.
I don't know that Baker can support two wide receivers that are fantasy relevant. It might just be Evans is the only one he can actually support. That could totally be the reality here. You don't
And you
think
think
so?
it? I mean, I think if it gets that way, I think Godwin's a good enough player that maybe that you end up with one of these. 1 week it's this guy, 1 week it's that guy, and then it's not good for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That is worrisome. But we'll see. On the Saints side, you like Olave. How do you feel about Kamara coming back?
Love it. I love him as a must start.
Okay.
Easy must start. He could just be the RB1 on the week, maybe.
Okay.
Saints side, Olave is a must start. Michael Thomas is like wide receiver 2, 3 right now. I don't own any shares. I'm not plugged in on him.
Okay.
Wide receiver 46. Yeah, I mean he'd be a startable wide receiver 3, 4 type. Rashid Shaheed.
Um.
Guy hasn't done anything in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm. Oh. I continue to notice that like this is like in my return yardage leagues, I keep being happy starting him.
Mm-hmm.
We got like and like so like you don't normally think about that, right? Because most guys who do any kick returning don't do enough receiving work to ever be useful. But like he's a really good player. But that might be a Marvin Mims comment too.
Yeah, yeah, no, and actually, he is actually part of that Mims tier of I was talking about in the beginning of with
Yeah,
return yards added in. He's up there
I
too.
I think he's a pretty good. I'm kind of always willing to throw a dart when I need to. I think he's just like a good player. Maybe that's like maybe I'm a little over my skis with him, but I think he's a good player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're trying to lean out of the quarterbacks if you can. Don't play the tight ends ever. All three wide receivers are viable. Thomas and Shaheed, I mean, take your shot. Like I said, I have them each around a wide receiver 3. I'm not pushing them into my lineup this week.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. 44.5 point over under for the Commanders against Philly. On the Washington side, we're starting Brian Robinson. We're starting Terry McLaurin. Sam Hall is a low end QB2 to me. It's a decent enough matchup, but the guys just look terrible. He's going to have some defenders in his face.
Man, he looked great against Denver.
Did he?
He looked
yeah,
fantastic.
that was week 1, wasn't it?
That was week 2.
Oh yeah, that was his good one. But then last week, man, all the turnovers, and I think Philly's defense is a little more comparable to Buffalo than it is to Denver.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, I take a shot at the Broncos.
No, I think that's no. But like the thing is, this is a guy who has legs, and legs. I think you can kind of always get away with some quarterback 2 numbers.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Logan Thomas coming back off the concussion? He was real involved.
Yeah, he's going to get peppered with targets, and he's totally viable tight end dart. I like him more than some of the other guys. Thomas or Granson? Probably Thomas, I would take.
Yeah, I think Thomas.
Yeah.
I think Thomas is a pretty easy start. When that's the alternative.
Has McLaurin or Dotson separated themselves?
Yes, McLaurin is playing better for redraft.
Okay.
I think there's no question.
All right, so we're playing McLaurin. We're sitting Dotson.
I think we try to sit Dotson. Although the Eagles have also been pretty bad against the pass, so like if you have to, but I just don't like Dotson's usage. Hal has not been good for him.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson can't do anything. He just no reason to play him ever.
No.
Eagles side of this thing: AJ Brown must start, Devonta Smith must start, Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Dallas Goedert, all must starts across the board. The only conversation is on Kenny Gainwell. What are you doing with him?
Listen, he's going to get enough work. I don't love it, but when you're a trashy running back enthusiast like I am,
really
like I know you are at times.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite like me.
It's
like,
more you, but yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Like man, you've got like 6 good wide receivers, and you play 3 wide receivers and 3 flexes, and then like maybe you've got a good running back, maybe you've got and that running back 2 is trashy, and you've got Kenneth Gainwell. You're like, man, he could get 8 carries and 5 targets in one of the best offenses in the league, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to get 50% of the snaps. They trust him. They like him. I know Swift is explosive, but like Gainwell is still on the field in all the passing downs. Yeah, they trust him around the goal line. It's going to be one of the thing that hurts Swift is that this team uses its running backs in unreliable ways for fantasy, mm-hmm. which makes Gainwell useful.
Yeah.
Right. That to me, anyway, there you go.
No, I mean, his role is fantasy relevant. Swift is the guy to own, and I think should dominate touches. I'm not playing Gainwell if I can avoid it. He's a low-end flex option for me.
I think he's going to be closer to 55-45 than people think.
Okay. All right, moving on. Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Titans, AFC matchup. Bengals side, we're starting the hobbled Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow's calf has drug everyone down, but you still have to start Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon. All of them are in. There's nobody else I want to play.
Tyler Boyd has 17 targets over the last 2 weeks, mm-hmm. and the Tennessee Titans have one of the worst pass defenses in football. You absolutely can play Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, as wide receiver 3, it's just
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Is that sexy? No. But you absolutely can do that.
Is Tyler Boyd Joe Burrow's legs right now? Because he seems to be getting those pretty short targets. Looking at
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
He's a deep dart. I don't mind it. Wide receiver 3-4 type. The Bengals are worth playing. Tennessee side. Are we playing Derrick Henry?
I mean, don't you gotta?
You do gotta. I could.
You probably gotta.
You probably gotta. Yeah.
Are you playing Tyjae Spears?
No, I'm waiting. No, I haven't seen enough to feel confident about that. I don't want to play any Tennessee pass catchers, and I don't want to play Ryan Tannehill either. He'd be like quarterback 30 for me. He's just not even in play at all. All right. Yeah.
Right.
Keep it going to the game I jumped into on accident earlier. The Raiders at the Chargers with their
47.5, big over under here.
Don't you just love watching Justin Herbert throw the football?
I do.
I really do too.
He's a good player.
But yeah. Raiders side, we're starting Devontae. We're starting Jacobs, Myers, Jimmy. The snap share thing I mentioned earlier. Jimmy's a QB2. He's actually a pretty viable one against this exploitable Chargers defense. I'd feel good starting Jimmy this week.
I would too. If these were your 2 quarterbacks, you'd feel pretty decent.
Oh yeah, you feel if Herbert, and I didn't even have a second quarterback, and I feel good about those leagues right now. No, but sorry, I really like Justin. We both do here on the show. He's a friend of the show. Maybe we'll have him on one day. Yeah, on the Chargers side of things, we are starting Justin. We're starting Keenan Allen, must start, and then what's up with Austin Eckler? Do you expect him to play?
He's doubtful.
I don't expect him to play. Are we playing Josh Kelly if he sits?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. And not even maybe, not even if you have to. You have to.
You absolutely start Palmer if Eckler's not playing. Not Palmer, but
Kelly.
Excuse me. That was my next question. Is we got Palmer or QJ here? What are we doing with this?
You start Palmer. You can't start QJ until you see it. But
yep.
But if your redraft, if QJ is out there in your redrafts, you go get that.
Oh yeah, that's a good stash.
There has league winning upside. The one thing I want to say here is Donald Parham is not the tight end one, right? Last week, Gerald Everett outsnapped him. Gerald Everett has 10 targets to 7. Last week, Parham had 2 targets and caught 2 2-yard touchdowns. And like, yeah, I know, but like the alternative weeks are he gets a 0. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot start Donald Parham unless this is like super desperate times. This is my view.
I don't think you start Everett either because I think his touchdown upside is like nil. I mean, he has to like catch a 20-yard touchdown pass exactly in order to actually get one. Yeah, it's rough for that Chargers tight end situation. I
I
wouldn't.
don't know. I mean, he's on the field on those snaps in the goal line. He just has to be the read. I just think I just think the right way to play this is Parham's 3 touchdowns are a fluke. That to me is the right way to analyze this.
I
And
agree. I was big on Everett last year. I took him a lot last year, and having watched him closely through all of last season, I'm convinced the guy's just not very good. I mean,
that's
he's just mediocre tight end, and Justin Herbert deserves better, personally.
yes. Boy, New York. If New York decides to blow it up, Darren Waller needs to get out of there. You know,
Palmer is the only real question though for like actual start sits like Palmer or you know how are you starting Joshua Palmer? Are you starting him as a 2 or a 3? Would you
low
put
into.
yeah like Palmer or Terry McLaurin? I'd probably go Terry on the talent.
Probably Terry.
Like Palmer or Gabe
Yes,
Davis.
Terry Palmer.
Palmer over Gabe Davis. Okay.
That's about where I'm at.
All right.
Yeah,
Palmer or Elijah Moore.
Palmer.
Palmer, me too. Yeah, that might help you guys out. All right, Patriots Cowboys. Why don't you take this one?
So the Cowboys are really good. You will reluctantly start Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry, and Mac Jones as a quarterback too. Like the volume is there. I know the Cowboys have been good on defense, but like they lost to Arizona last week. They're not unstoppable.
Mm.
Um,
Just low ceiling for those guys, but you play them. I think you do.
Yeah, well, I think it's like low floor, but like also the Patriots have been playing at a fast pace. I think Zeke is a low end running back 3 flex 2 in a revenge game here.
True.
Like you don't love it, but I could see Zeke moving some piles and getting some tough yards. Sit all New England wide receivers. And then on the other side, look, you're starting Lamb, you're starting Pollard. If Dak is your quarterback 2, that's pretty good. You start Ferguson, and I'm trying to sit everyone else. I don't know how you feel about the ancillary wide receivers over in Dallas.
Ferguson's down my list this week. There are other tight ends I like more. I think some places you got to start him, but like, yeah, I'm not as excited for Ferguson this week as I have been in the past. You play Lamb, Pollard, and Dak. Yeah, then yeah, Dallas. There's no one else I'm looking for. Cooks, Gallup, nothing. Rico. This is gonna be a low-scoring game, and I would take the under on this 42 points. I don't have high expectations for anyone in this game. Low ceilings all around for me. Cardinals at Niners, 44.5 point over under. The Niners are projected to crush the Cardinals in this game. We'll start on the 49ers side. McCaffrey, Purdy, in. Kittle should feast considering the banged up wide receiver core. Deebo Samuel, we expect him to be out. Brandon Ayuk, we expect him to be in. I am starting Ayuk everywhere. I'm not stoked about it. He may re-aggravate. He may be on a pitch count, but I'm playing Ayuk with an inactive Debo in a very plus matchup. And then Elijah Mitchell, I think you like in a really deep league, not a really deep league, but like you said, those dirt cheap RBs. He's a decent RB2 type throw out there.
Okay.
You could see a whole second half of a 20-point Niners lead where it's possible. Just the Mitchell show. That could happen.
Totally you know what? That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Right? It's a dart or DFS play.
Just garbage time, Mitchell time.
Do you have any feelings about what happens behind Debo Ayuk? Like if Debo misses and it's Ayuk, and like last week Ayuk missed and it was Ray McLeod as the starter, but I think Jennings got the most targets, and Ronnie Bell, the 7th round rookie, got the touchdown. And so, like, do you have any? To me, that's too murky to play. Even if they tell you who the starter is, I don't know how you feel about that.
If neither guy goes, I expect it to be just even more Kittle. I think if neither guy plays, Jawan Jennings could be fantasy relevant. I think this is the guy to more own than Bell. But I do like Bell, and I'm interested in stashing him, just from seeing him get on the field at all. Uh, but I'm not like excited for these guys. If they both
Okay.
sit, I would be willing to like wide receiver 3 Jennings.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's a chance that that could happen.
yeah.
All right, let's move on. The Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Jets, 42 and a half over under. This is Sunday Night Football. Taylor Swift will be at the game. It will be the
Hey,
highest rated game of the regular season, almost for certain.
absolutely will. It's
The
Jets.
entire world is going to watch the Chiefs defense get to play Zach Wilson on national television. Um, so we start our Mahomes, our Kelsey, our Pacheco. Man, I'm starting a bunch of McKinnon, and I feel fine about it. I know that might feel dicey, but like, uh, it's fine for me. I'm happy to throw that dart a lot. I feel like it. I feel like it will come out in the end well enough if you just keep throwing the McKinnon dart all year.
Yeah, you have to have the
Uh,
wide receivers to support it. I mean, you have to be able to have some outs to win if he bricks, and you know.
yes.
But he's I like him as a dart like that. I would definitely play McKinnon over some of these other dudes we mentioned. I would play McKinnon over Mitchell. I'd probably play Justice Hill over McKinnon. Um, who's other comps for stuff like that? Mm, I can't think of another one. But are you playing any Chiefs receivers in this game?
Yeah, man. I think I'm probably going to start Sky Moore. He's getting a lot of work. I think I know it's a low over under, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It would not surprise me.
Mm,
Like I would bet. I'm not a betting man. I would play the over here,
mm.
and like this is going to be the kind of walk down narrative street that I don't love. But I kind of think that on national television with a gajillion people watching against Zach Wilson, the Chiefs may decide to beat the 42 and a half point over by themselves.
Mm,
And I know the Jets have a good defense,
mm.
but like it would not surprise me if the Chiefs decided to embarrass them.
Keep the gas pedal on.
It
Do
really wouldn't surprise me.
pull the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Um,
Scott Moore is
so
the wide
I'm
receiver
starting
to
Sky
start
Moore.
here out of
Yeah,
all of them. I am not thrilled about it. He's a receiver 3 if you want to play him.
I am happy to play Rasheed White Rice as a dart throw wide receiver 4. Last week he played 51% of snaps.
Love
That's
it.
a season high.
Yeah.
He had 7 targets. That's a season high. He had 5 for 59, and he was tackled on the 1 yard line twice.
I remember that. It was great. I have
Um,
so much Rice. I'm so stoked for this guy. Yeah, he's starting to climb up the next gen stats list and stuff. He's getting a crap ton of targets relative to routes run. He's more and more snaps. He's more and more air yards per target. He's just clearly acclimating to this game, and I don't know why we let this wide receiver that the Chiefs drafted in the second round fall to like our late second round rookie slots, but I was there to eat him up every time. I'm excited for Rashee Rice. I don't know if I'd play him here, wide receiver 4, like you mentioned, but a lot of upside. I would poke around his owner because a big explosive game for Rice is maybe Minnesota in 2 weeks or Denver, some of these easier matchups, but I'm looking for Rice to have a breakout game here in the month of October.
there you go. And let's close it out. Monday Night Football. Seahawks, Giants, over under of 47 points. Hawks, start your Ken Walker, your Metcalf, your Lockett, Geno Smith as a quarterback 2. Uh, I also think Zach Charbonnet is in that same conversation. Like I'd start Charbonnet ahead of McKinnon.
Yep, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I think Charbonnet is a hopeful running back 2 dart that you can throw when Bijan Robinson and Charbonnet and my good receivers. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
I've got a squad like that. I think he passes the eye test. He's playing more and more every week. I'd rather not with JSN, but like this is a get right spot to me. A little bit for Seattle. I think the Giants are reeling. If desperate, like you've seen nothing from JSN, but like would it shock you if they force fed the ball over there a bit?
No, this is going to happen. It's like with these rookie receivers like him. It's just It takes me back to 3 years ago. Justin Jefferson didn't really play at all in the first 2 weeks of the season for the Vikings. The first two games. Week 3, he had a massive breakout, and then it was lights out the rest of the way from there. But, like, something clicks with these teams eventually where they decide to throw out all that crap of the rookie's got to earn it or whatever it is, or the vet's got to get some sort of a shot. First ups, the vet's got to get that before we throw the rookie out there. I don't know what it is, but JSN is going. Yeah, yes, I'm with you. If he had a 10 target, 8 catch, 150-yard game just out of nowhere, totally could happen. I'm not chasing that. I'm not starting him, but I'm on alert for it.
If I don't have to, like, this feels like a spot for that.
Yeah.
Because the Giants seem like a falling apart team. All right, on the Giants side, guys, this is a Monday Night Football game, and you have to be prepared for Saquon Barkley to be a game-time decision. If he is one of your key players, you have to, first of all, if you are starting 2 other running backs, you have to put him in your flex, right?
Yep.
Even if, right, like this is best practice, even if he's your running back 1, you put him in your flex. The other thing is you have to have a pivot option, right? So if he is in your running back spot, you have to have a Monday night running back. Like if you're only starting the 2 running backs, you have to have a Monday night running back like Charbonnet or Matt Breida. And if he's in a flex spot, then, you know, maybe you can look at the Giants wide receivers or things like that, but you have to be rostering a pivot option for Monday Night Football.
I think Saquon more likely plays than not, personally.
Probably.
I'm anticipating he does play.
But
but do the safety things Greg is talking about. Put him in your flex or something. Like, anticipate a miss. Yes.
How do I not
have a plan? Yeah.
Right. Like, especially some of these leagues where you can't free add and you have to waiver. You could wake up Monday morning and not be allowed to add and find out that, you know, he tightened up overnight. Right. Like, so, like, whatever. Maybe you make a slightly different start-sit decision so that you can push him into a flex.
Yep.
So that you can have Wan'Dale Robinson as a pivot. You know what I'm saying?
Saquon, if you're a Saquon owner, he has to kind of set the tone for your whole lineup that you build around him, because the upside if he does play is tremendous, and you want to have that available to you. I want to poke around Kenneth Walker real quick. So we've seen, if you guys see on my screen, Kenneth Walker has gone in snap share this season 63%, 61%, 51%. That is a 3-game schedule of downward trend. Zach Charbonnet has gone 24%, 26%, 43%. That's a 3-game trend upward. Like I said in week 1, these 2 are going to trend closer to a 50-50 share, even though Walker is clearly more productive. That is happening. So, you know, this could be a good game for Sharp, and you might poke around maybe trying to buy him right now if you can.
Yeah, and I mean, by the way, Walker's back up to like running back 4, 5 in Dynasty, and like I honestly don't hate getting back out at those prices.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying week 1, man. If you can exit for a top 5 caliber value, you should probably think about it.
Well, now you can. He's coming off 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, but he also could be incredible the rest of the way. So
he is the running back 4 on the season after being the running back 16 last year. So, you know, those things are scarce. But yes, we're playing Breida. Like, you feel pretty good about Breida if Barkley were to sit.
If Barkley mitts, Breida's an RB2. He's fine. Darren Waller, we like him at tight end.
You hold your nose and play him.
Yep. Daniel Jones, QB2.
You hold your nose and play him if
Daniel
you don't have
Jones
a better
or
option.
Mac Jones?
Daniel Jones.
Okay. Whew.
But like, I don't like the Mac Jones.
Right, the Mac Jones matchup. Daniel Jones or who did you have above Mac? I forget. I can't think of anybody.
Oh, like we're playing.
How about Daniel Jones or Geno on the other side of this?
Geno.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Daniel Jones or Pickett? Daniel Jones probably.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Might start Jimmy.
Jones or Jimmy? That's a good one.
I might start Jimmy.
Yeah, I'd probably go Jimmy too.
Okay, so right, that's where we're at. You can't really start the Giants wide receivers with literally 6 guys seeing meaningful work. But if you must, we have seen some clarification of the pecking order. Darius Slayton is on top, and he's clearly the number 1 by usage so far. It looks like Slayton is number 1. He's getting 80% snap usage. Both Hodgins and Campbell are getting like 60% snap usage. Wan'Dale Robinson just came back off of IR, or not IR, but just he missed the first 2 games with an injury. He had 5 targets on low snaps in his first week back, but it looks like he's going to be rising up this depth chart somewhat. Hyatt is playing about 30% of snaps, but he's getting all the deep work. And Sterling Shepard's still working his way into the rotation, but playing some snaps. And like, that's the order. I don't know how you feel about any of this.
I was trying to chop up Slayton versus Campbell earlier in the week, and they looked more even to me than what you're saying, that Slayton's separated himself. But maybe
he's on the field all the time. Campbell is not. Campbell is only on the field in 3 wide receiver sets, for the most part. And then like Campbell is the guy who. So let me just say. So remember, Wan'Dale just came back. Campbell's snap share for 3 weeks is 67, 66, 42. So Campbell's snap share 60, it went down by 20%, and Wan'Dale Robinson was getting 22% snaps. All right, well, looks like we may have lost Tony here. But that's all our matchups. Perfect timing. So I guess it's on me. Pitter patter, let's get at her, folks. Let's make some dynasty moves. Let's make a trade. And like and subscribe. Share it on socials. And we're out of here.
Yeah, my mic died. That's why my battery in this thing crashed out. But I plugged it in. Thank you so much for tuning in to us, friends. Like, subscribe, comment. We are Gonski.